This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our friends over at ease.com, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery, as well as an option for the same for folks living in the Portland, Oregon area. And easewellness.com is there for hemp-derived CBD products delivered via U.S. mail in 41 U.S. states. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Thursday, May 16th, 2019, and you're tuned in to episode 724 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. We lead off today's headlines in New Jersey, where yesterday news broke that state lawmakers would not try to pass legislation this year to legalize adult use marijuana, and would instead pass the buck to voters next year to decide on via ballot measure. New Jersey State Senate President Steve Sweeney threw in the towel on adult use yesterday with the announcement of the news, saying that he would push for legislation to be passed expanding patient access to medical cannabis and to clear the records of people with small marijuana charges. The Associated Press has a good and detailed story up on this one over at Leafly, which I'd direct you over to for more. We jump up to Oregon for our second headline, where yesterday Senate Bill 582, a proposed bill allowing for the governor to set up import-export agreements with other legal cannabis states, was approved by the state Senate on a vote of 19-9. The legislation now heads over to the state House for consideration there. SB 582 would not actually go into effect until the federal government changes its stance on marijuana to allow for interstate commerce, but if passed, the legislation would put Oregon on the line, ready to go as soon as national prohibition is lifted. Given the supply glut that Oregon is currently experiencing, that moment couldn't come soon enough, at least for the state's farmers. We'll see how it fares with Oregon's state house. Our final top story today is a bit of federal news, as Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, who I think it's good to note is engaged in a criminal conspiracy with the criminal President Donald Trump to hide his criminal tax returns from Congress, said that a 2017 tax incentive designed for enterprise opportunity zones should not be used to fund state legal marijuana businesses. This one is a bit heavy on the wonk, but boils down to a special kind of tax break set up to incentivize the development of special business zones that Mnuchin said yesterday before a Senate appropriations panel were not to be used for legal marijuana businesses. Not really surprising news there, but good to know, as reportedly there's been some question on the matter in legal and tax circles. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, ease.com, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery, as well as an option for the same for folks living in the Portland, Oregon area. Save 30% off the cost of a whole bunch of great products today under Ease's ever-changing daily deals. Just use the discount code PICKS, P-I-C-K-S, when you check out after filling your cart with any number of daily deal options, and you'll see 30% slashed off the cost. There's $20 eighths from Old Pal, $39 vape pens from Dom Pen, and $45 Pax Era Pods from Jetty, all of which are eligible for that 30% discount. Just open up ease.com, spelled E-A-Z-E, to see what's up for order and to get your delivery started. Thanks to everyone at Ease for the support. All right, time for the blitz. Yesterday, a bill to legalize industrial hemp was approved by unanimous vote in the Texas State House. House Bill 1325 makes industrial hemp legal, as well as CBD and other non-THC extracts. The bill was changed enough in its run in the Senate from the original House version that it will require a conference committee merging before it can be taken up by Texas Governor Greg Abbott. Felicia Gans over at the Boston Globe has an instructive story that I think is worthy of a note, with a look at what happens to travelers in Massachusetts who are caught in Boston's Logan Airport carrying marijuana. In short, if federal TSA agents find your stash in security, they will turn it over to local police. If you have more marijuana on you than is allowed, then you're in for a trip through the criminal justice system. But if you're carrying small amounts, the police will just hand you back your marijuana and tell you to store it or to toss it away before going back through security. The way that local cops handle any found marijuana at the airport depends on the state, so make sure to do some homework on your own if the need ever arises. Terry Booth, CEO of Canadian marijuana giant Aurora Cannabis, said that he didn't think the hype around drinkable marijuana quite yet matched the realities of market demand. Mr. Booth, in a conference call yesterday with financial writers and analysts, said, quote, "The proven market is certainly not in beverage. There are not going to be any cannabis bars like there are alcohol bars anytime soon," unquote. Instead, Booth said he thought the better play was to pursue drinkable products within the wellness market vertical. A proposed bill has been introduced in Nevada's state legislature on behalf of Governor Steve Sisolak to consolidate power over the state's marijuana industry to a 5-person board made up of appointees named by the governor. If passed, the legislation would set up the Cannabis Compliance Board, which would take over from the state's taxation agency in handling all marijuana operations. Another headline, another proposed bill, this time in Louisiana, where a piece of legislation allowing medical marijuana patients to use vaporizable forms of their medicine passed by a vote of 73-3 in the state house. The bill would not allow for the smoking of cannabis, but rather its vaporization. It now heads over to the state Senate for deliberations there. Keeping the legislation train rolling, we hop back up to Oregon, where a bill allowing for the opening of marijuana social use venues is dead for this legislative session. Senate Bill 639 would have given the Oregon Liquor Control Commission control over the new program, which would have different license types for both temporary events like concerts and festivals, as well as more permanent businesses like cannabis cafes. And finally for today, we wrap up with a great dad joke from Marijuana Moments' Kyle Yeager, who led off a story about new guidelines for horse racing and cannabis with the line, quote, "Hay is for horses, but CBD isn't," unquote. Nice. Kyle picked up on a press release issued on Tuesday from the U.S. Equestrian Federation, which oversees most of the nation's major horse-related sports events, clarifying that horses engaged in competition should not take CBD, as it remains on the list of banned performance-enhancing drugs. The press release is detailed and well-written and certainly wasn't issued spur of the moment. In fact, it seems like a remarkably stable decision. The last thing we want is racehorses to be saddled with negative drug tests. Okay, I'll stop fooling around. That's terrible. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, Ease, and to all of our awesome Patreon listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the Patreon listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in, starting your day with marijuana today. Today.
One take, Shay. One take.